When protesters interrupted the confirmation hearing for Trump Attorney General pick Jeff Sessions, they used a chant you may have heard before.
I also want to thank my dear friends.
No fascist USA! No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA!
If you were following the New York Times live blog of the hearing, you would have seen this attributed to Green Day.
No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA!
That's Green Day performing at the 2016 American Music Awards. But Green Day didn't come up with this chant.
No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA!
This is MDC performing an updated version of their 1981 song, Born to Die, a song about clashing with local Nazis in Texas.
The Richmond police, 10 miles out of town. The cowboys, knocking off people.
The song popularized the original version of the chant.
No war, no KKK, no fascist USA. What the fuck is wrong with all them people?
No war, no KKK, no fascist USA. The chant has remained part of protest culture, but when Donald Trump started to rise to nominee status in the Republican Party and eventually become president-elect of the United States, the chant got a new life.
No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA! No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA!
And it's fitting. By now, we should all be aware of the many racist versions of Donald Trump. So the new iteration of MDC, reformed by its original lead singer with a new backing band, updated their song. And Green Day covered it for an audience of 8.2 million on primetime broadcast television.
No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA!
Which brings us to Jeff Sessions. Sessions has been accused of racism throughout his career. When he was nominated by Ronald Reagan in 1986 to become a federal district court judge, Sessions faced claims that he had used the N-word, that he called a black attorney boy, that he told that same attorney to be careful how he speaks to white folks, that he called the NAACP un-American, and that his prosecution of African Americans for voter fraud was racially motivated. Oh, and allegedly saying that he thought the KKK was okay until he learned some of them were marijuana smokers. Jeff Sessions and others who were there when he made that comment testified that it was made in jest. A friendly, lighthearted joke about organized racists being excusable for their targeted murdering of African Americans, but not for their smoking of jazz cabbage. Sessions insisted that his real stance, when not yucking it up about lynching, is that racism and the KKK are bad.
I am not a racist. I am not insensitive to blacks. I have supported civil rights activity in my state.
But he was shut out due to the amount of evidence against him.
I advise publicly that this nomination should be withdrawn.
Sessions was subsequently barred from becoming a federal judge. Now, thanks to Donald Trump, the king of the Klan jokes is back on the confirmation hot seat with a new nomination, Attorney General. But this time, despite criticisms from Cory Booker, John Lewis, and others, things seem to be going a little better for Sessions.
I want to commend the Democrats on this committee for, I think, showing admirable restraint. At the beginning of this hearing, I had concerns that it would turn ugly with accusations that don't belong in this hearing.
So what was considered too much evidence of racism in 1986's America may get a pass in Trump's 2017 America. But despite insistence from Ted Cruz and other Republicans that Sessions is not racist, citing his involvement in prosecuting Klan members for murder when he was responsible for enforcing the law in Alabama, David Duke of the KKK still thinks Jeff is pretty swell.
The most important appointees. Bannon as his chief strategist, Michael Flynn as his national security advisor, and Sessions as Attorney General, I believe are the first steps in taking America back.
Which makes that chant from MDC suddenly very relevant again.
There have been racial charges raised, and indeed some of the protesters have chanted KKK.
No Trump! No KKK! No fascist USA!
And it is a particularly hurtful argument.
I would say it has been very disappointing and painful.
Sessions was the first of Trump's nominations to face a hearing, and like the chant, the protesters aren't going anywhere.
Most part of our country and the southernmost part of our country.
As for Dave Dichter, lead singer of MDC, he told Rolling Stone that while he used to think Trump would be someone he'd enjoy sitting next to on a plane,
Green Acres is the place to be.
He said that now, quote, "I'm so sad to think of the kids being bullied in school right this moment, as well as the walls that will grow separating our human family." So yeah, no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA.
No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. What's the